All right. Welcome to this information session about the Daily Studio Color Notebook. I'm so glad you're here, and I wasn't expecting such an awesome turnout this evening. But what this tells me is we need this. We need color in our lives, and we need it in a good for our soul kind of way. And so I want to tip my hat to you for showing up for yourself. And I hope that this tool is one that you find to be a gift to your present and your future self. So thanks for sharing your time and attention with me tonight during our chronically busy lives. It's a Thursday evening, so I thought I would take a moment with you to slow down. And in fact, I'd like you to enjoy the colors of this forest for a moment and take a few deep breaths at your own pace for a few seconds. I think there's value in exploring this thing called color that can have surprisingly powerful effect on our moods and emotions and energy levels. It's worth our time to do some self-reflection and self-nurturing and to become fluent in this language of our choice and to devote time to learning and to return to an embodied place within ourselves. If you're a person who wants to help our world in crisis, and all the things going on around us, this is a reminder that we are part of the things going on around us. And it's essential that we tend to this self and what it needs in order to be part of any solution. I'm bringing all this up just in case you happen to have that inner critic that comes up and tries to pipe up while you're doing your Studio Color Notebook and says something like, why are you doing this activity? You have so much more important things to do with your time. And you could say, shh, not now, I'm busy saving the world. So this is important. This is quietly essential to your life right now. Otherwise, you wouldn't have signed up. You're worth your own time. And if this is a thing you want to do, I'm going to put it out there and say it's a really good idea. And it's a good idea on many levels. So let's move on to the notebook. So here's how the Studio Color Notebook came to pass for my practice. I've been keeping a general studio notebook to jot notes and ideas and art supply shopping lists. But around 4 years ago, I was doing a big 100-day project called 100 Days of Color Backstory. And lots of my notes included paint swatches. But it started to emerge that the most useful and fun thing that was happening in there was this growing collection of random color studies. And they were just on the notebook paper I wrote my notes on, but the fact that there was no way it could suddenly get serious and become a piece of art made it feel so good and so free. And that freedom helped me with my color studies later to prep for paintings. It helped me remember important things too, like Elisa likes this color combo. And I could celebrate World Goth Day in 2020, just curled up in my studio in the dark, smearing black paint around. So since then, I've moved on to using acid-free cardstock, but it was mostly because looking back on all my Studio Color Notebook pages before, I feel so fond of them now that I just wanted them to stick around. But I still really believe in just using whatever. If it's notebook paper, I think that's awesome. And it sounds really, really satisfying when you turn the pages of buckled notebook paper that's been painted on. So I might later on just demonstrate that for you. All right, so I just kind of wanted to give you the nitty-gritty of the basics of this whole notebook situation. So yeah, have a notebook and have your colors and do it every day. That's easy. But why, I think, is pretty powerful. These are just some reasons I could come up with, but it's just such a soul food for you to do this if you want to do it. Yeah, save the world, returning to the present, really learning about yourself in general, and learning how to be kind to yourself, which I don't know, I'm always needing to keep on working on, but also more in a kind of technical way. You can pursue paint properties and try things out, follow your curiosity, listen to yourself. Oh yeah, just really get a sense of who you are and what you like, and just like goof off. Practice your scales. You can practice mixing paints during this time, which is really, really, really helpful and also kind of fun. Break out of color ruts. Like if you keep choosing the same 5 tubes of paint, well, it's a good time to just go ahead and break it. And yeah, also color studies to prepare for paintings. I find this is a great place to do it. It's like so low stakes. And I think that when you keep doing it, like choosing colors becomes easier and easier. And oh yeah, perfectionism freeze. Like if it's time to paint and I'm like locked up, just open up a page and just start messing around, and just to get my body going, you know. I would be very curious about those of you who aren't actually painters, but are doing, you know, like that's not your practice. But if you are going to be using this, I would be curious to know down the road if there's a way to use that to also break up a perfectionism freeze. Oh yeah, so when and where. This is a question that you will want to ask yourself. And I'll say for myself, same time, nope. Same place, probably. And the only reason why I say that is not for any rigid reason, but straight up, I had to like go everywhere to try to find my notebook the other day. And I was sort of panicked because I thought maybe I had left it somewhere. And so no more of that. I'm leaving it in the same place. So it's really about what you need. If one of the obstacles that you thought for yourself when I asked you earlier is finding time for it, that whole first thing in the morning thing might be a useful one, or even at the end of the evening. So that's something that we can chat about. How? Well, this is definitely gonna need to be exactly yours. What pleases you? Like seriously, what I hope happens if you do this is that you just give yourself joy and just have pleasure. And troubleshooting your obstacles, I think, is key, because like we have all kinds of good intentions about all the cool stuff we want to do in our lives, but it really helps to lessen the friction, which I think we're all starting to kind of realize. It seems like forming habits seems to be more and more popular these days. I think there are a lot of books on it. And so really, like, if you can make it as easy as possible for yourself, that's the way to make sure that you're able to do it every day. And this is really, I think, important. Like when you're working in the notebook, I'm saying kindly to yourself, because you're going to be maybe challenging yourself to do things that aren't, you know, pretty or whatever. And I think that we've really been encouraged. So many of us have been encouraged to, you know, make good art or, you know, attractive things. And, you know, oh my gosh, you wouldn't want to do an ugly color combination, but I don't know, there are no stakes here. And if you notice a voice in your head coming up and wanting to criticize you, this is kind of like an interesting place to engage with that in a way that is, I don't know, it's beyond words, but if you can find kindness in your heart for yourself during this time, I think it's really good. But also, if you notice that you're criticizing yourself, and then you're like, no, I'm supposed to be kind to myself. Well, that's not what this is about. So anyway, and who? This is another thing that I would like to talk with y'all about, to share or not to share. For myself, I tend to show a lot of my paintings like on Instagram or hang them up in places. And I definitely think about other people when I'm painting a good portion of the time. But for this is really for me only. And I have shown you some pages here, and I even posted a whole month's worth of them on Instagram. And I made a decision not to pull out the ones that I thought looked really gross or whatever, to kind of be vulnerable in that way. But I want to urge people who are like me, who are kind of public that way, to consider maybe, like, what would it be like if you didn't share it with anybody? Like, what if you just kept those little jewels for yourself? And on the other hand, if you happen to be very private and you think it would be a good stretch to share them, that's or like share the ones that you feel comfortable sharing, that would be cool. So we have